Good morning, everyone. Little House Homestead, Cindy here. This morning I am going to start pressure canning a bunch of different meats. I'm going to be using the Instapot Pro electric canner. I was having problems with the lid on the twist lock of the regular stovetop pressure canner, and I don't know whether it's pinched nerves or arthritis or whatever, but it got to where I couldn't close the pot anymore. So I'm going to give this a try. It's going to make me decide whether I want to get the larger version, because this only holds pint jars, or if I want to go ahead and get the screw-on stovetop canner. One of them is the electric one. It's about $110 cheaper than the twist on or the screw on lid pressure canner. So budget's going to be a huge deciding factor, but also whether or not it actually works. I've been watching some other channels like Little House Homestead. She's really good. She actually does the science behind using these electric canners. So anything that she says is safe to can in this type of canner is what I'll put in there. She actually has a probe. She puts it in there. She tests it, makes sure that it gets up into the kill zone so that your meat does not get botulism. She does meats and beans and all kinds of other things that she tests out in there. So I can highly recommend watching her channel. But today I am going to start with ground beef, and I am going to have several spots where I come into this because it's a long process. I cook my ground beef before I pack it, because with the electric canner, the kill zone is very short. It doesn't get up to heat it up a raw pack for ground beef because it's just too solid in there. So I cook my ground beef before I put it in my jars. So I am just now starting to get the ground beef on. I'll come back and show you the point that I cook it to, and then we'll go through packing it in the jars that are drying and all of that stuff. I don't have a dishwasher, so I have to hand wash them. But if you have a dishwasher, go ahead and sterilize your jars or wash them in a hot setting. I haven't had a dishwasher in so long that I honestly don't remember what settings on dishwashers are anymore. It's been probably 15 years. So get your jars cleaned, and then I will come back at the next step. See you in a bit. Okay, so I've been simmering the beef, because obviously it's simmering in its own fat, but I've been frying out the beef. I want to get it so that there is no pink left in it, but I don't want to overcook it and actually start browning it. So it's at that gray in between that just kind of, you wouldn't want to eat it, but once it gets into the jars and into the canner, it's going to finish cooking it the rest of the way. So next step, I'm going to drain out the grease and start packing some jars. Okay, so despite what anybody says, do not pour hot oil or grease down your kitchen sink drain and run hot water behind it. That's not good for your drains. It'll plug them up over time. But you definitely want this beef very well drained. I have a bowl underneath this strainer collecting all of the grease, and of course the puppy dogs will get their treat when I empty that bowl, because that's what they expect when I'm doing canning. They are spoiled. And so make sure that you have it very well drained so that you can not wreck your pipes, but also you don't want all that extra grease in your jars, because you're still going to get grease in your jars. So you want to get out as much grease as possible. So what I'm doing is I am putting beef in these jars. I'm not packing it. I'll thump it down a little, but I'm leaving about an inch of headspace, maybe 3/4. I don't want to overfill them, but it's still going to cook and shrink a little bit, but I want a little bit of extra space for that grease to accumulate on the top so it'll be easier to get out. That's my personal preference. But this is about how full I am filling a 1-pint jar. And let me get back to you in just a minute when we start putting additives into it. Because these are pints, I am going to put a 1/2 teaspoon of salt in each one. You need the salt for the canning. This is non-iodized salt. Remember, when you're canning, you need to use non-iodized salt because iodide discolors what you're doing in there. And because these ones I'm actually going to specifically use for tacos, I am going to put a tablespoon of my Costco taco seasoning in each jar as well. Remember, when you add spices to any of these things inside your canning jars, it can amplify the spice. So the taco seasoning, a tablespoon is plenty for a pint jar. I know you would use more if you were frying it in a pan, but it's not necessary when you put it in the jar. Make sure it gets down in there a little bit. And then, oh darn it, I'm going to take a paper towel with a little bit of vinegar. And I am going to wipe my rims. Vinegar is a natural disinfectant, so it cleans your jars a little better, makes sure that there's nothing nasty on there for the seal. And then I am going to put on the lid and the rings. I'm going to give them just a little bit, not tight, just finger tight. And then these are ready to go in the canner, so we'll switch over to that in just a minute. Okay, so they are in the pressure canner, and because these are hot packed jars, I need to bring hot water into it to the fill line that I can't see, because hey, why not? I may have to actually get another kettle on. As I said, this is my first time using this. Oh, actually, it's pretty close. That's actually really good. So I need a little bit more, so I'm going to heat up some more water and fill it to the line, because there are lines on the inside of the pot. And then I will come back when I set the pressure. Okay, let's get this set up. I'm going to push canning, and I want 1 hour and 30 minutes. I want natural venting, and we're going to push start. So it's going to bring it up to the kill zone temperature, and then it'll start the timer. So it's got over 90 minutes to go, and we will see how it turns out.